Welcome to a special edition of Two Colts and the Kong. Edward Sadler, Adam Campton here, and a special guest this week, none other than the Magic Man, Joe Moreira. Joe, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure, Edward. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate that.
No worries. Fresh off a six-timer at Sha Tin on Sunday, Joe. You're in some pretty hot form.
Yeah, I would describe those horses that I was on board were in pretty hot form. I wouldn't say myself.
How good, Joe, was Excellent Proposal?
As good as it can get. Very, very few horses can make it being exposed 4 deep as he was, coming from the widest gate. And he didn't just do it. He's done it in a good fashion. Means like he's got a heart, he's got an engine, and he's no doubt one of those horses that I'm very excited throughout of the season. I think there is plenty more to come from him.
How does he compare to a horse similar, say, to Champion's Way this time last season? Is he got more of an engine? Is he more switched on? Is he more mature? How can you compare the both?
I don't really like comparing horses, but what I can say about Exceptional Proposal at this stage where he's at, he's very straightforward. I wouldn't be able to say that right after his first start in Hong Kong last season, because to me, he showed at that race he was still a bit vulnerable and shy and not 100% aware of what he was there for. And this term on Sunday when he won that race with me, he proved to me that he's much more forward at this time. And a horse that is able to improve that much in such a short period of time indicates that he got to be a good one. Only the good one is able to go for that much of improvement in such a short period of time.
Were you a little bit worried throughout the run, or did you just realise I've got a very serious horse underneath me and you didn't really have to worry?
I was worried for sure, but there wasn't much what I could do, because if I go further back, I was going to get stuck wide anyway. If I had pressed on forward, I would be going against the instruction that the trainer actually gave me. So I just had to be sweating and hoping, and he didn't disgrace. He just gave me what he's got best. I would say the race also shaped in a way that helped him anyway, because even if he got stuck wide, he didn't go very fast. So as you can see, the race bunched up at the 700 meters, giving him a chance, even if I was exposed wide, to just turn from home at the striking position. And if you watch the race also, you will see that I was able to get him to relax the first half of the race. And I was always going to have full horse at the straight, so which was pretty much the case. As I said, the feeling he gave me when we were turning from home, only good horses do. And his acceleration is very impressive. If he's able to improve just a bit more, which I wouldn't say he has to improve much more, he's a horse that the connection is very close to his rating to get into the Derby. He's over 19 already, and that might qualify him for the Derby. So I'm excited about him, and I'm sure everyone else that is involved into his campaign here in Hong Kong would be as well.
Last week, Joe, you also rode a pretty impressive horse too, Skyfield. Is it going to be a tough decision for you to come between Skyfield and Excellent Proposal if they both go towards the 4-year-old series?
Of course it will be. Even yourself mentioned that Skyfield is a promising horse as well. Skyfield is, to me, he's a horse that might just go up into a mile. I wouldn't be surprised to be wrong, but feeling wise, that's the kind of feeling he's giving to me. And he's also a serious horse, promising. He's very straightforward. His acceleration is very impressive as well. But he's still got some rating to catch up, and we're gonna have to go through and see where they at when it comes to make a decision. I wouldn't be able to tell who is best right now, but I can tell you for sure both of them are very, very good horses.
Yeah, they both do look very, very promising. Would you be surprised if Skyfield did just stay at the sprints?
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, but the way how he travels throughout of the race, it might be okay for a mile, because you see, Casper and I, we've been trying to teach him to relax, and he's been responding. Last time when they slowed down the race, was a bit awkward for me to make sure that he sits still and come back for me as they came back in front of me. But he's responding, he's been learning quick as well. And if we might be able to put in him maybe another 2 or 3 races before the classic mile, and that might just be enough to get him to switch off and understand what he means to do when it comes to the races. He's another very talented horse which has been learning quickly, and whatever I decide, Skyfield exceptional propose, when it comes to that, it might be the wrong one, because as we all know, they both are promising horses and quality.
Yeah, that's true. You just spoke of Casper Founds. It's you two are pretty hot at the moment. You've teamed up for plenty of winners already this season. What's it like to work with a bit of a larrikin like Casper Founds?
As he described me, he's hilarious. He's a very nice person, and he makes it feel comfortable on regards the way how he behaves, the way how he tells you things. He doesn't put you under pressure, and that's a very smart way of treating the jockeys by a trainer, because if you put them under too much pressure, you may not get the best out of them. And he's being very intelligent on handling it that way. With me, Casper has always been a very good friend. I keep on telling him if tomorrow he gives no more rides, he will still have a place in my heart, because he's a good person. I've been very happy to be associated with him in the last couple of months. In particular, the last season, this season, he has been supporting me quite a lot, and of course, it means a lot to me. But not just that, he's a very good trainer. He's been proven. He has won a couple of titles here, and I would back him that he might be the hot favorite at the moment to be the leading trainer. I think the quality of horse that he's got in his yard, the amount of them, and the way how he handles things he might be the favorite to win the trainer championship. I know it's always a run that is some other trainers like Tony Cruz, who always does very well, John Size, David Hayes also, who has come with a lot of young horses, which should put him up there with them, and some of the other local trainers who has done very well. Rick Yu, what impressive seasons that he had last season. So, but I think Casper, he has very high potential. Hopefully, me saying that doesn't put him under pressure. Neither myself, as I've been riding a bit for him. But no doubt he's going to keep on winning races, because he's a champion.
So 6 winners on Sunday for you, Joe. We're only into the first few weeks of the season, but how important was a day like Sunday for you to get up and running and have that momentum heading into the start of the season?
It's very important. It gives me a little bit more confidence in myself. I wouldn't say I've been having a hard time. I have had some, not as some time that hasn't been as good as has been in the past. So I had to turn things around and work a little bit harder. And I've got a plan. I think this season could be another good season for me. I've been putting on things in paper, and being a little bit more organized, and not just that. Having a good start is the way which everyone else would like to have, in regards to being a champion jockey this season or whenever. It's too early to talk about, but I can say I'm very confident that I can do well, and no doubts I'll be doing my very, very best. And it's not for anyone else, it's for myself, because I know I got more potential than what I've shown in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And not being able to produce my very best, it is a bit of a frustration for me. And I want to turn it around, not to prove it to anyone else, but I want to bring back that satisfaction that I used to have on going out there and compete at the races. I've been always like that. I tell myself that I'm such a competitive person, and doing just okay, that's not good enough for me. I want to do well, and I know very well that I'm capable to.
You definitely started in the right direction. I think a few of the other jockeys would be a little bit concerned that the Magic Man's got his mojo back. Take us back to the start. How did Joe Moreira get into racing? Were you always around horses your whole life, or was it something you just fell into?
No, I actually found out about horse racing when I was quite young, probably 1992. But I actually got involved into horse racing around 1998 when my cousin actually invited me to come over to the jockey club and have a look around. Right away, I knew already I was in love with horses. As people probably know, I used to steal horses from our neighbors over there in the small little country town that I used to live at. And I have a little bit of touch with horses. I knew how they can behave. I knew how to approach them. But of course, when I joined horse racing, pretty much in 2000, joined the Jockeys Academy, I didn't have enough experience with the thoroughbreds, neither to race horses. So then I found it very tough, very difficult to get going. It took me at least a year. The first year, I would say the first 6 months that I was apprentice in Sao Paulo, I got a stamp right on my forehead saying that I was the worst one, and people were making a bet among themselves of how long I would last in the game. But I knew the secret. The secret is just have to work hard, being very committed, and learn as much as you can. And I was very lucky to be able to learn quite quickly. So I did turn it around. So when people figured it out that I was so committed and I was improving quite quickly, instead of start saying and putting on a bet how long I was going to take until I jump out of the system, they actually start talking among themselves, oh, this kid is actually can ride, he's improving quickly. And they start to compare me to my mentor, because I had a trainer that actually took me over and started to support me and give me rides, and not just that, also teach me how to do things proper. Once they start comparing me with that trainer, which used to be a top jockey back then, things just turn around. And then opportunities start falling into my lap, in my hands. And I was very responsible on knowing how to deal with it. Of course, I've done many mistakes and this and that, but if you look back on my career throughout, I haven't gone for much steps back. I know there was up and down as anyone else's life, but I may have gone 100 steps forward, 10 back, and then I've gone again for those another 10 steps forwards, and I've never stopped learning. And horse races integrates me. It gives me such a amazing feeling that I can never see myself out of the game. Of course, I'm not made of iron. I'm not gonna last forever. Eventually, I'm gonna stop riding. But I cannot see myself away from horses, because the feeling I have for them, what they have provided to me, it's just sparkling. The smell that I feel from them, it's just a need for myself. I'm addicted to them, and it's amazing how much we can learn with them daily, every day. It's amazing. A new one comes up into the system, and then you actually realize you got a new baby there, which is going to react differently, is going to behave differently, which is going to move differently, and he's going to look at your eyes also very differently. And this gives me such a great satisfaction. That doesn't mean that I already know everything. That means I'm enjoying learning every day with these horses, you know. So it's nearly impossible for me to be out of this, away from it. Career-wise, it's very hard for me to predict for how much longer I'll be riding, especially as nowadays my body is not helping very much as it used to when I was like in between 20s. Time catch up, gets to everybody, and I can feel my body being deteriorating a bit. I'll give you one example. Like after race meeting 10 years ago, next day I was fine. Now I've been taking like a day and a half at least to recover myself. So I can see, and one day I'm gonna have to put a dot there, say this is the end of my career as a jockey. I'm not gonna ride anymore. But as I said, I will still always be around horses. I just love them so much. And what makes me love them that much is it's these amazing lessons that they've been giving to me every day. And also, I've been very blessed because probably most of my entire career, I have had some professional around me, specialists and high-profile trainers, vets and jockeys, and many other people involved into the industry that has been providing me information. And not just that, as we just said, Casper, he's such a figure, and it's so nice to have him as a friend, not just him, there is some others as well, and they all know who they are. There is some people that I've been blessed enough to get know just because of horses, that Jesus Christ, it fulfills my heart, and I feel very satisfied, very satisfied. I couldn't ask for more. It sounds like I might sit down and relax. No, it's not that. It's me being very thankful for what horse has provided to me throughout of my career.
Well, horses have changed your life as well too, Joe, in the sense that where you've got to in your career as a jockey, but you come from such humble beginnings, don't you, from Brazil, then to get to the top of the tree in such a big jurisdiction like Hong Kong. It's pretty incredible when you look back at where you've started to where you've got to.
Yeah, it's such an amazing achievement. Some other kids may not get there, some other kids will do, but I would never back myself that I was going to achieve when I start off. I was just going through the motions. I was just hoping that I could make it on the next day, and I was just hoping. One thing that people may not know, when I joined the academy in São Paulo, back then, like you start off only allowed to ride horses of 4 years old and above, all right? But at that time, horse racing, we had so much horses around and so much races for those 4 years old and above that we could still make it. So as you dropped out from category 4 to 3, and then you're allowed to start riding at the 3 years olds. Wow. And then once you go, you're promoted to category 2, you're allowed to ride the 2 years old. And once you've been promoted to category 1, it's when you're allowed to ride at the cup races. It was just a way to make sure apprentice inexperienced don't get on the horses that are inexperienced as well. That wouldn't be good for anyone else. So then what I'm trying to say here was very hard for me to make through the targets, because each apprentice that joins the academy there, they set a target. So I was given 6 months and I had to win 6 races, all right? I had to win 6 races, but I took, that's a very, very, very interesting story. I took like a month and a half to win my very first race, all right? And I was disqualified. My horse made contact with another horse, very minor, but they're very strict. They disqualify my horse to 2nd place. Of course, for me, winning the first race means a lot. So goes upside down. The frustration was huge. Deep in there, I was so hurt. So after another month, so means already 2.5 months, I win another race. I was disqualified again. Another disqualification. So then I could see things just collapsing, going bad, from bad to worse. That was a time when people started setting their bets among each other, how much longer I was gonna last. So then another week, I was able to win my very first race. But you will not believe, my very, very, very first counted win, dead hit. and just did not being disqualified because it dead hit. So they couldn't put each horse behind each other. They finished the line even, so they just kept the result. So I had my first win. So then time went by. The last week, I was able to pick up maybe 5 rides in 4 race meetings, and I had to win 2 races at that weekend. Otherwise, I was gonna be kicked out from the Jockeys Academy. My time was running out, and I just did not make it. So I even told myself, okay, I've done my 6 months, and what to do? Maybe just go back and be with my mom. But I was blessed enough to make it. A horse that actually came from my hometown to São Paulo, which was the Metropolitan Race Course, won with me and won quite impressively. And the other horse that actually won by a very, very short margin. So I made it. And then I said to myself, at least I can do it. I can do another 6 months here, make some saving, and maybe go back to help my family to set up their environment, their home, our home, basically. But from that day, when I made it 6 win, my first 6 months as apprentice, from there on, I never gone back. I have been stepping forward, not just in numbers, but also confidence-wise, and the support that I have had from many people from all around the world, from home, from anywhere that I've been. It's the key. I would be nobody else if I haven't had people that were that willing, that keen to support me. And of course, all these people, they got a place in my heart, and I will be very thankful for them forever.
What would have happened if you didn't get your winners within the 6 months? Are you allowed to have another chance the following year, or is that it?
It has happened to a lot of apprentices in Brazil, a lot. And some of them, they just go to the country race courses. Like I could have gone back to where I came from and tried there. They would accept me and give me maybe 6 months to see if I could make it as a jockey or not. But if you start off on the high grade race courses and then you drop down to the country race courses, it's nearly impossible for you to make it back there. So I was blessed enough to make it on the main race courses of Brazil. At that time, São Paulo would be, if not the best race course, would be very close to the best one, which would be then Rio race course. And horse race in Brazil, unfortunately nowadays I can't talk good about it because it's gone from bad to worse. But 20 over years ago, when I start off, Jesus Christ, competition was very tough. The quality of the horse that we had over there was outstanding. And the memories, even sometimes when I look back of replays of races that I've won, or maybe some big race meetings, it makes me think, Jesus Christ, back then was so good. That's why in maybe if you talk about 30 years ago, you wouldn't hear about Brazilian jockeys at all, just because there was no reason for them to go anywhere. If you were a good jockey and if you were able to break through in São Paulo or Rio, that means life would be very good for you. You would make a good living of it. But unfortunately, nowadays things is going from bad to worse, in particular now as this pandemic is just damaging every company, every jurisdiction, and horse racing is struggling there, unfortunately.
Speaking of the pandemic, how have you and your family gone throughout the off season during the pandemic? What did you guys get up to?
Look, I pretty much done what most of the people around here have done. You know, whenever I have to go out, I go very well protected. I keep the distance of everyone else, and when I want to do some exercise, instead of getting to the gyms, either I go when there is nobody there, or I go outdoor where I actually love the most. Anyway, as everybody knows, I love doing hikings and cycling and swimming and wakeboards, camping. As I said before as well, don't be surprised if you bump on me on one of these hiking tracks, you know, because I just love it. And I got 2 kids at home who also love it. They keep on asking when we go out next and when is next. At home, of course, I've done a lot of games with the kids. We've done a project I wasn't gonna tell, but it's a very good one. I built up like a kind of a Barbie house for my daughter, and as I've just handmade kind of a drawing kind of stuff, and I said, okay, I'm gonna start off. So I went to a wood shop and I bought all the woods and I cut them off, and I ended up making such a nice little Barbie house for my daughter, which she's so happy with. And how can you be unhappy if you look around you and see your kids smiling and happy, jumping up on the air? So, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, of course, it's been a hard time, not just for myself, but we all can make the most of it. There is a lot of things, a lot of good that you can get out of this situation, like also family-wise. Like I have spent so much more time with my kids and my wife, which gives me a better view of how they're growing up, how quickly they're growing up, how much they have learned so far. And I think we are on the right track. Hopefully they don't go to the wrong ways, and they keep it being good kids and good family that they've been for me so far.
Joe, you and I go back to the Singapore days together. Leaving Brazil to go to Singapore, how important was that for your career?
That was the key. I probably people don't know much, but I've spent a couple of months back in France in 2005, and because of the language, I wasn't able to make it. I rode a few races over there in some different courses, and I just loved the experience, but unfortunately I wasn't mature enough to make it. But that experience in France also helped me in Singapore, because I knew if I wanted to make it there in Singapore, I needed to learn the language, a different language. Even if I did get in Singapore not being able to speak, I have done the courses that I had to do. Like I spent 2 years going like 3 times a week to an English course in Brazil. And just because I wasn't able to practice around there when I first got in Singapore, like my ears were not sharp enough. So when whoever would speak to me, I was just not going to be able to keep up with the pace and understand. But because I had that basic lessons, that helps me a lot to get going quite quickly. My time there, I got going very quickly. Even if I stumble a couple of times and if I've said a few words wrongly in some of the interviews, quite quickly I was able to get going and find my way there. And as you know, Singapore, it had been such a great place for me. I miss it. I miss the time I was there. I don't plan to go back into Singapore again, because I'm happy to be here in Hong Kong. As you know, horse racing is going a little bit better than Singapore. But when I look back and I see all the great time I had over there, makes me feel very proud and happy of what we have achieved there. I had a horse there called Super Easy, which has won the Triple Crown, has won 13 races without losing and making history. Made it as a stallion, winning some Group 1 races, went overseas. And without all these things that has happened to me in Singapore, I wouldn't be here talking to you. So no doubt I'm very, very thankful for what a great opportunity I had from Singapore Turf Club, and also from those people that actually took me there. They all know who they are, and I don't even need to mention names. They've been good to me, and I really appreciate it.
That's true. It's incredible to where you've come from. It really is incredible. You spoke of your 2 little ones before. Do you think the little fella or the little girl could ever become a jockey? Have they got the love for the game yet?
I hope not. I hope they don't, because being a jockey, the risk is quite high. I've been very blessed. I was even saying to a friend of mine today, I've been blessed. God been looking after me all the way. I have had so many bad falls and I never broke a finger, which is very unusual. Most of the jockeys that I know all around the world, they would have a broken bone. And I've been very blessed. I know I had some injuries and pain and falls which affect you psychologically. But I gotta say, I'm being very blessed. So because of me knowing the risk of the game, I hope my kids do not come and ask me, Daddy, let me be a jockey. But at the end of the day, Mom also didn't want me to be a jockey at all. So I don't think I'll make that call. I can express that I don't want to. I can express that I hope they learn something else, they do something else, but it's going to be their choice anyway. If they end up being a jockey or a vet or a trainer or something related to horse racing, I won't be the person that is going to stop them.
You've had 3 jockeys titles in your time here in Hong Kong, Joe. You've broken plenty of records. You've ridden some super horses like Able Friend and Rapid Dragon. What are your highlights for your time in Hong Kong, which has been for over 7 years now?
Yeah, times go quick, doesn't it? Well, it got to be Able Friends winning the Champions Mile and my first full season here, because up until then, I haven't won an international race in that caliber, you know, and you know how good that horse was once he won the international mile in 2014, if I'm not wrong. He went on to win some other big races, and I got in the plane with him to go for overseas races. We did not succeed, but just for being given an opportunity to go ride such a great horse somewhere else, it's always a pleasure. So that would be my highlight. And also the Derby, because the horse was going to be the first one to win the triple crown here. And where he came from, and I was with him probably nearly all his races, so if I'm not wrong, all the races that he won. Wow, and some more. I was under so much pressure, because, you know, if you do a mistake in such a circumstances, that could be the end of your career. And fortunately, I was lucky from the day one. I remember very well, one of the vet was next to me when we were doing the barrier draw on Thursday, like 3 or 4 days before the Derby. And as the numbers start popping up, like we haven't even gone through to the second half of the lots of all the barriers yet. I said to Paul, Paul, I think I'm going to get number 4, and that's the number that is going to get me to win the race. And then our turn, number 4, I look at him and say, I'm going to win the race. And we won it. Jesus Christ, that was such a thing that I will never forget. It was a great memory. It's a great memory. Unfortunately, the horse ended up not being able to carry on his career as a racehorse. But, you know, the owners, John Moore, they were so kind to me, and I got to express how thankful I am for being given opportunities to ride those good horses, you know. Not everyone else get that chance, and if you are, you got to be very, very thankful, and I am.
A little horse, well, he's not really little, he's a big boy. Seen you've been riding him a little bit of track work. He went amiss last season in the name of Athero. He's now with Casper Founds. How do you think he can measure up to the big guns if he does produce his best on game day? I
think he's as good as any other sprinter in Hong Kong. He's got it. His ability. He's very skillful. Unfortunately, he had that problem, which it's a big one. And Casper believe he's able to turn it around. I wouldn't disgrace him. I wouldn't go against him. Casper is a very good trainer. He might be able to turn his form around. And if he's able to, he's a big gun. I'll tell you, he's a horse that might be going to the sprint races, maybe in December, or maybe some other ones that will come up and be very hard to beat. He's got ability. He nearly won the international race being 3 years old last December. Just don't forget that. And the amount of race that he had before that did not give him enough experience to do it. And he nearly, so if it's proven, he's got it, he's got ability. It's a matter of time if he's going to be able to produce it again, as he has had that breathing problem. But I wouldn't be the one that would be doubting about Casper's ability as a trainer. He might be able to turn it around.
Well, as far as your career, Joe, you spoke before too about, you know, jockeys obviously able to ride forever. You've had the big wins in Singapore and Brazil, here in Hong Kong, Dubai on World Cup night, a number of big wins in Australia. What would you like to achieve before you do decide to retire from race riding?
I would love to win one more title of the Jockeys Championship, especially here. because that would give me the satisfaction. Okay, I did turn around those steps backs that I went to. Remember, I said I wasn't, the last 3 seasons, I wasn't able really to produce what I've got best. So I've gone a few steps backs. I've gone a little bit like that, but no doubts that I'm picking up again in regards to form, because I realized if I had to just do things a little bit different, like taking better care of my own health, you know, I put on a little bit of weight, and I'm not carrying fat on my body. I just build a bit stronger. Maybe just because we've been having to spend a bit of more time indoor, you know, and food is available in demand. So my goal would be to win one more championship if I can. Very nice. If I can't win, it's not going to be the end of the world. I will still look back and say, okay, I've done very well, and I would end my career as a jockey very proud and very, very proud of myself for I have achieved what I did.
I thought you were going to ask something else. Could we ever see Joe Moreira training?
Unlikely.
Okay.
But one day that I quit myself from riding, I might just be around my own horses, you know. I wouldn't be aiming to be a trainer. Not that I don't think jockeys should do it. I just think that I was born to be a jockey, not to be a trainer. And it's very hard to predict what's going to be my future in 10 years' time.
Yep.
I might get there. I might not be able to find something else to do among the horses, but to train. If it gets that, might be okay. But I wouldn't be telling you now that I have it at the back of my mind and I've been thinking about it. No.
What about Joe, races-wise? You've come close to the Melbourne Cup before. Is that a race that you'd like to win? Is there another race overseas, for instance, that you'd like to win, to have your name on that honour roll before you do call time on your career?
I would love to have won the Melbourne Cup. I've been saying that quite often, but unfortunately, it seems like this term it's going to be very hard for whoever from overseas to go over and ride there, and I don't think it's going to be any different to me. Maybe when this pandemic goes, I might have another chance. Who knows? Melbourne Cup would be the one that I would have at the back of my mind. Of course, there is many other races that I would love to ride at, like the Kentucky Derby, the Arc, the Epsom Derby, and all these big races around the world. They're very famous, and if I had a chance to ride, no doubt I would. But it seems like it's not going to happen because being based in Hong Kong, as you all know, it's we got to be committed to here. And if I wanted to ride anywhere else, I had to just not be here, and which is impossible then if at the age that I am right now. I'm 37 soon, and how much more time do I have? It wouldn't be that much. Let's say if I intend to ride up until 40, 43 to 45, that would leave me with only another 5 to 7 years left, 5 to 8 years left. So I wouldn't have too many goals at the Melbourne Cup anyway. And maybe when I get close to 45, I may not even be having much more opportunities to be riding those big races. So anyway, whatever comes, I'll make the most of it. And if I do win them, we're gonna celebrate for sure.
We should probably touch on John Sias. He's been an incredible part of your career. Everyone back home, I know from Australia, they just shake their head at how good he is and how incredible he has been for so long. What makes John Sias such an incredible trainer?
Wow. He's John he plays a big role in my success in Hong Kong. We all know it. Without his support, I wouldn't have been able to succeed as much as I did, right? So it's not even, I didn't even have to mention that. People, probably everyone else know it. But just, you said yourself, and I would doubt there will be someone else saying, no, he's not a good trainer. So you are assuming, and I agree with you 100%, and probably the rest of the world would. But about John Sias, it's not just that. He's a very nice person. He's a very kind, very polite. He keeps his own circle of friends and people around him. And if you're in there, if you're among them, he looks after you. And no, I'm not talking about financial wise or support wise. He plays psychologically game to support you. He backs you up. If things goes wrong, he doesn't blame you. He said, okay, let's change the page of the book. And that makes me think he's got a heart in there. And I'm quite close to him. I'm a good friend with him, and I just love being around him because whatever you want to talk about with him, he's gonna have an opinion about, and it always makes big sense. First, if you do ask him questions, that means you're not 100% sure, or you want to know someone else's opinion. And then when he comes up with his answers, it's always very, very sensible. So size, why he's been so successful. He's very sensible. He's got a good heart. He loves what he does. He's very committed. He's a hard worker. And you just combine it all together, gets him to be the successful trainer that he's been. I can't say what he does to succeed. He must have good horses. He must know what he's doing. And he must have also a good team around him. So these three simple things. But what makes him being very important to me is not just that. It's the kind of person that he's been to me. He's been very, very, very good person.
Joe, we're racing obviously at Happy Valley tomorrow night. You've got a full book of rides. There are some good ones there for people watching our show who are going to be watching the races on Wednesday night. Who are the ones that you're most looking forward to jumping on board tomorrow?
There is numbers of horses that I like quite a bit. Some of them did not get very good gates. One of them is that Beauty Applause, but he's capable. He's got ability. If he's able to produce what he's got best there, even coming from one of the widest gate, he might be able to get away with it. He might be able to win. The other beauty horse, which I've been asked also, Beauty Angel, right? Or Angel Beauty Angel. His winning shotting has been very good. They didn't give him too much rating, which is going to help him a lot as he's not such a big horse. And winning shotting, I would say it's where it's a bit tougher. Shotting course, it's a little bit more competitive because there is always a horse that should be in the class above and it's on the way there still. So that means races over here is a little bit stronger. But when back in Happy Valley, races are always the same, always even. You're unlikely to see a horse that is to go up up on the grade. Either they in that frame and they just have to balance it up in rating where they're going to be. Sometimes they need to be a little bit lower, or some of them just can't make it on the top rating. But majority of them just have to balance it up there. And we see a horse that wins carrying the top weight in the class, let's say class 3, and go up to class 2 and might be able to win it. But the amount of horses that makes it there compared to the amount of horses that makes it in shotting, no doubt that shotting it's much more. Many more horses can do it. So Beauty Angel would be the second best ride of mine in Happy Valley tomorrow.
What about California Deep Shot? He showed a lot of ability last season. He had a fair bit of racing for his first season. Do you think he's definitely going to be a horse that's matured and he would have done well throughout the recent break at Chung Fa?
No doubts that he's a good horse. He has won his race. He's at the top of the rating of the class, and not just for being there. He must have done very well to achieve it. And two things that can happen. The break that he had between races can get him out there to the races and carry a little bit of conditions, and he might not be able to produce what he's got best because of it. As if Tony really got him well-tuned and nice build and strong and the freshness that he has from that long break that he has had might bring him to win the race. So it's not a horse that I would be saying, okay, just go with him, but I will say, don't be surprised if he goes out there and win as well, because he's proven to be a nice horse as well.
The group races are coming up pretty soon too, Joe. We've got a Group 3 over 1,400 metres, a Celebration Cup on the weekend. Group 3 over 1,000 the following week. Who are the horses that we should be looking at that you'll be riding in these big races now that we are building up towards December?
The 1,400 meters coming up on this coming Sunday. I'll be riding Champions Way. He'll be carrying 115 on his back. So that means I'm going to have to get a proper diet to make sure I get that low. And it's obviously a very strong race. But I feel confident he could be among the top 4. If he wins, it would be a surprise to me. But I believe he's capable to be among there. And if those big guys that I would have ahead of him, like Beauty Generation, is probably one of the best horses in Hong Kong ever. Golden 60, which is the most promising horse, and Casper horse Sichuan, what is his name?
Southern Legend.
Casper's what?
Southern Legend.
Southern Legend, sorry. Southern Legend. Yeah, these horses are tough, strong horses, proven. So if these 3 horses that I've just mentioned, they are not able to produce what they really got best, I might be able to win the race, because Champion Ways is also another horse rising. He's not a horse that is able to last on his campaign for too long. You see, particular last one, his last preparation, he's going very well at the beginning, and eventually he got tired and he just did not show anything. His last race last season was quite poorly, but he is a horse, once he starts picking up as he is at the moment, he can produce a good race. And who knows, also the track might be a bit wet, and that might benefit him as well, because I think I have one on him before on the wet ground, so he might be benefited by that. So let's hope. The 1,000 meters coming up, I was meant to ride some horses which end up not being heading to that race, and I end up picking up a horse from Tony Cool's stable that I rode for John Moore. His name is, hold on, let me remember. How come you don't remember? Computer patch.
Computer patch. Yes.
Yeah. He has won over the 1,000 meters, and so that means he's capable. He beat a very good horse of size when he won over the 1,000. So that means he's got ability. He's going to be right there. It's no doubt going to be a strong race, but being one of the lightest carrying one of the lightest weight on his back, I believe he's going to be very competitive. So I got good hope in those 2 races coming up, and those races will give us a very good guide on who will really be the horse for the international races in December. So I'm looking forward to those.
Beat the Clock, how's he doing?
From what I know, he had a setback. He's not sure. He might not be in fully work. Yeah. But my conversation with Size, he's quite confident he's going to be able to make it on the big races. Not sure if it's October, but in November, December. He's sound, he's fine, he's nothing wrong with the horse. He's just been given the time that he needs. And the kind of issue that he may have had doesn't sound like it's a big deal for me. So it's a matter of time until he step out there to race. Good horse, which I had a very good story with him. And let's see how he's going to return to the races. We know he's a very good horse, the sprint of the year of last season. So he's a very nice horse. I'm looking forward to riding him as well.
He beat the Clock's pretty promising, well, not promising. He's a proven star of Hong Kong racing. Hopefully we get to see him going for back-to-back sprints. Have you heard of anything? Have you spoken to anyone about any international rides? We had plenty of success on the Japanese horses in our big races here, Joe. It's an unusual year, but have you tried to look out for any possible horses from overseas that might be coming for a Vase or a Cup or something like that?
Yeah, it would always be those big races, like in long distance, because we're quite fulfilled with the sprinters and milers. We got some good ones here, and I guess for whoever wants to come over here, they got to bring a real good horse to beat some of ours, because we got big guns here. And if any other trainers from overseas is willing to use a local jockey who knows the track very well, I might be available for those 2 races at the 2000 and 2400 meters, the Hong Kong Cup and the Vase. But just don't forget, we also have some other runners from Hong Kong here, which won't disgrace. They will run well, and who knows, they might be the winners. We've seen that happen in the past, and I haven't taken rides in those races yet, but no doubt I'll be chasing big races like those we all wanted to be on.
Well, Joe, we probably should let you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Thanks so much. You've been really generous with your time. Well done for last Sunday. And I'll finish off on this note. Happy birthday for this Saturday.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Adam and Edward. It's always a pleasure for me to be on this part of the show, and I really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much, mate, and all the best. Hope you have a winning birthday weekend.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Thank you.